Everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today, y'all really challenged me this week. Y'all all wanted me to make Sally to go with Jack. So I just dove in. I made changes in my video as I went along so that you can make her too. So if you want to make Sally, stick around. I'll show you how. Now you will have to mount her on a board because with all of her hair, I could not get her balance to stand up. So let's get started. Thanks for watching.
Okay, we're going to start with a 1 3/4 inch piece of pipe insulation. We're going to cut it at 3 1/4 inches in length. So we're going to take some light blue acrylic paint and a 2 1/2 inch clear ornament, and we are going to mix in a little cup the paint, a little bit of water, and then you go ahead and add a little bit of Mod Podge, about maybe a tablespoon, and then mix it all together. And we're going to pour it inside this ornament. But don't forget the Mod Podge because you want to make sure you use that too. I had to go back in and redo this. And just pour it into your ornament. Get it all in there as much as you can. And then we're just going to swirl it around until it covers the outside. Now, if you don't get a full coverage the first time, you can go back and add a little bit more. But just kind of swirl it till you get it completely covered. And then go ahead and let the excess pour out. Now, don't let all of it pour out. You want to go ahead and let it just dry overnight. Next, we're going to spray paint the outside with a clear matte sealer. Next, we're taking a piece of blue felt that measures 6 1/4 by 2 1/2, and we're just going to wrap it all the way around this noodle. Now, you want to make sure that you have enough on top to tuck it all in so you can cover up the, not the noodle, but the insulation. And you could use a pool noodle if you want to. You just have to adjust the size of the pattern. And then we're going to cut little slits all the way around so we can tuck it down inside of the middle of the insulation. Just spend some time on this part. You want to make sure you get it as flat as you can. But you do want to make sure it covers the entire top. Next, for her dress, we're going to cut a piece of fabric that measures 6 1/2 by 8 inches in length. And we are going to cut the very bottom of it, the 8-inch side, with some pinking shears all the way across. This is going to be the bottom of her dress, but we're going to modify this here in a little bit as well. Then we're going to go ahead and hem up both the long end and the 2 short ends. And I'm going over probably about 3/4 inch. And then I'm doing 1/2 inch on both sides. Okay, next we're going to go ahead and take our noodle, put it into the part that has the seam at the top. And we're going to fold these back so that she has, like a collar, so you can see the front part of her body. You're just kind of folding it over maybe an inch. Just so that she does have the front part of her body showing. And then just go ahead and glue those tabs down, and we're going to glue this right to the insulation. And make it stick up above her neck, probably about 1/4 inch. And then go ahead and glue the bottom. Okay, next we're going to start making her face, and we're just going to take some air dry clay and roll it up in a ball and mash it down. Now this is going to be for one of the eyes, and we're just going to pull the sides out in like a teardrop shape. And then we're going to make another one exactly like it, and then we're going to flatten them out. Now you can make these a little bit smaller, and then when I flatten this out, I'll show you. It kind of sticks off her head a little bit more, but you want to go ahead and make it a little bit flatter so it's not as defined sticking out from her face. And then we're going to take a little pea-sized piece of black air dry clay, and we're just going to push it right onto her eye as well. And we're just doing it right in the corners. Okay, for her mouth, we're going to take some red air dry clay, roll it in a ball, mash it out, and then go ahead and pull the corners out. We're just shaping this into the shape of a mouth. And then we're going to go ahead and flatten it out, and then we're going to indent the top, and then we're going to come across the middle of her mouth with the little knife and draw a line through the center. And then put these aside and let them dry. Okay, next we're going to take about a 2 1/2 inch ball of the air dry clay in red, and we're just going to roll it out. And you're going to roll it out pretty good to go around the ornament. And you want her hair to be long, so make sure that you get it pretty long. Don't roll it too thin though. You do not want it to be thin, you want it to be thick. And once you get it shaped like you want it, we're going to take a little knife and just kind of draw some lines in it to give it some hair look. Don't cut through it though, just kind of do some light lines over the top of it. And then we're just going to attach it to the back part of the ornament. So you kind of want to come up right to the top part of her hair or her head and then just kind of wrap it around and just kind of smooth it out as you go. Now don't worry so much if this looks a little bit weird right now because we are going to add some sides later. Okay, put all these on wax paper to let them dry. Next I'm going to take a cork and I'm just going to cut it in a little sliver out of it just to put up into the head to hold it into the body. You don't need a big piece, just enough to just go right up inside there. And then we're going to go ahead and attach some tape to it to tape it down. You don't want to add heat to it because you don't want to melt it. And then we're going to take a piece of fabric just to go around it. Now I don't have a measurement on this fabric. Just make sure that you are covering the end of it. I would say maybe it's about 1 inch. And just glue in the back and get it wrapped around there so that she has a neck. Next, we're just going to cut a straight line across the back part of her hair because her hair is straight. And then we're going to attach the eyes and the mouth. And we're just using some E6000 glue and a little bit of hot glue to attach these with. Now, I totally did not make a nose. I didn't realize that until I'm actually voiceovering this video. So you could make a little nose out of some blue air dry clay. And you just need a little bit of hot glue. Don't put too much. And make sure that the teardrops on her eyes are facing outward of her face. I'm just going to take some black paint, some black chalk paint, and I'm going to go along the edge of her, top edge of her eye, and I'm going to add some eyelashes. Just go all the way around the top edge, just kind of give it a little bit of definition, and then we're going to add some eyelashes. And then you're going to do the same thing with the other eye. Next, I'm mixing up a couple of colors of acrylic paint that I had to get a teal colored, and I'm just going to paint her scars on her face. Just get a color that's going to show up on that blue. And you're going to do it to both sides of her mouth, and then we're going to come down from the top part of her head and do another one. We're just going to attach her body to her head. Just put a little bead of glue around the bottom part of that blue felt that we had. And then just go ahead and pull it on inside. Now make sure it stays up about 1/2 inch because you want her to have a neck. And sharpen one end of 2 of the dowel sticks that measure 1/4 inch by 6 inch. And then we are going to cut off a part of them. We're going to measure it at 5 inches in length and cut those ends off. And this is going to be for her legs. Then we're going to go ahead and mark them at 2 inches because that's what's going to go up inside of her leg. We're going to take some foil. We're going to put 2 little nuts inside of those. Those are 3/8 inch nuts, and we're just going to fold them up. So put them side by side. So that's the length of her shoe. And even though we are going to mount her to a board, you do want to put those weights in there. And then we're just going to roll out about a 1-inch ball of clay and wrap it around there. You just want to kind of cover up the shoe. Make sure all your foil is covered up and you're just kind of shape it into a log. And then we're just going to kind of roll the front part a little bit, but just make sure you get it completely sealed in, but you don't want too much, just enough to cover the foil. And then just kind of smooth it out and make sure the front is rounded. And then we're going to put a little stick indent in it, and that's what we're going to bake these now at 275 degrees for 20 minutes. Take a piece of wire, measure it at 6 inches, and I'm going to double it up. And this is for her arms. kind of flatten out the top a little bit, and then we're just going to twist it around together. For her hands, we're using some light blue oven baked clay, and we're just going to mold it into these hand molds, and then we're going to bake them for 20 minutes at 275 degrees. Just kind of open up the fingers and press the clay into them, and that way you'll get a full hand. It'll be pretty solid. Just make sure you get it completely full, and then kind of pull your fingers around where the fingers are to kind of get the excess clay off of them. But overfill them first. It really does make it a little bit better. And just kind of pull the clay back a little bit, just around the finger so you can see the finger. And then we're going to do the same thing with the opposite side. Okay, once you take them out of the mold, go ahead and start kind of cleaning up the edges a little bit of them. And then we're going to add our wire right down into the center of them. And then you're going to bake them at 275 degrees for 20 minutes. For the legs, we're just going to roll out some of that same blue oven baked clay, and we're going to wrap these around the sticks that we sharpened. And we're not going to go above the 2-inch mark that we did on the pointy side. And you want to leave about a 1/2 inch on the bottom so that we can put that into the shoe and then make the top part of her shoe. You just want enough just to cover this up. It doesn't have to be thick because her legs are skinny. So cut any excess off and then just kind of smooth it out. You just want a smooth leg. Now we're putting a skirt on her in a minute too. So you don't have to go all the way up, smoothing it out. Just get by her ankle area. And just kind of blend that in a little bit. Kind of roll it in your hand to kind of smooth it out. But just spend a little bit of time blending this in so that you do have pretty smooth legs. And then just pull any excess off because you do want them to be thin. Just enough really just to cover up that stick. And do the same thing with the other leg. And then take them and bake them at 275 degrees for 20 minutes. Next, we're going to take some oven baked clay adhesive and we're going to attach our legs to our shoes. Just put a little bit into each one of those crevices and stand your stick up inside of there. And then we're going to wrap some more of the black clay around the top to kind of give it a little boot effect. You just want to make sure that your legs do stand up straight. So you want to check them from the side, the back, and the top. And then we're going to take some of the black clay and we're just going to wrap it around the top part, connecting the leg and the shoe together. And then we're going to just smooth it all together. Just kind of take a little rope and wrap it around. And then you're going to blend that into the bottom part of the shoe. And then we're going to bake these again for 20 minutes at 275 degrees. Next, we're going to go ahead and bend the wires for her arms. And we're going to make these a little bit shorter after a while too, so don't worry so much about it right now. I just want to kind of see where they're going to be, and they were too long. Then we're going to take some of that oven baked clay, and we're going to go ahead and put it onto her arms. Now you only want to go up about 1.5 inches at the most from where the hand meets. Because we do want to be able to bend her arm later. Actually, it was more like 1.25 inches. You just want to make sure that you can bend her arm because we're going to cover the top part of that up with fabric. And just kind of do, just like you did the leg, just kind of get that blended in with the hand so it looks like one unit. And then pull any excess off because you want her arms to be skinny as well. Just kind of blend it in and then do the same thing with the other one. And then we're going to bake these at 275 degrees for another 20 minutes. Your legs have baked, go ahead and just put them into the noodle, kind of evenly spaced on each side. And then we're going to glue them in later. Take the skirt, we're going to take a piece of fabric that measures 9.5 by 4.5, and we're going to take our pinking shears and we're just going to trim off one of the long sides. And then go ahead and flip it over, and we're going to take a string and make a casing to gather it. Now you could do this with a needle and thread if you want to, but we're just going to kind of go over about 3/4 of an inch over that string, and don't glue onto your string because you want to be able to gather it. Okay, next we're going to take a string and tie it around her waist to give it some definition. Just squeeze it in there really good, and then we're going to put our skirt around the waist. Okay, then you're going to have to trim off about 1/2 inch to 1 inch off of her dress. This is where I made a wardrobe change to add the skirt. So you're going to have to cut that off to get the skirt to go on there. And then you're just going to go ahead and gather it up real good and then tie it around to the back. And then we'll glue it in here in a second. And then we're just going to overlap the back and glue it down. After I got her all put together, I figured out her arms were going to be a little bit too long, and so we are going to trim some off. We want to kind of shorten them down a little bit more, and then we'll cut off the excess and bend it around. Just hold it up to the side and determine how long you want your arms to be. And then just bend the rest of it back. Okay, so they're 3¼ inches in length. Finish out our hair, we're going to take some more of that air dry clay and we're just going to roll it out. Now don't roll it too thin, you want it to still be thick. And then I'm just going to cut this piece in half because we're going to go 1/2 on this side and 1/2 on the other. And I think it measures about 3/4 of an inch wide is how wide these were. You just want to make sure it goes down the side and does cover up the edge. And just kind of smooth out your edges a little bit, and then we're going to cut out the top straight so that we have a nice part in the center. And so just kind of overlap a little bit. We're going to come down to where her ear would be and just fold it to the back. And then just go ahead and start blending all that in. Just take your finger and start really smoothing that out. And then we're going to do the same thing with the other one in the middle of her part right there, down the side, and then to the back. And then just get it completely blended in on both sides. Next, I'm just going to take my knife and I'm going to put a part right down the center, and then real lightly I'm just going to make some indents on her hair to make it look more like hair. And I'm going to go all the way down with these, but don't cut all the way through it. Just kind of be gentle with this. And you're going to do the same thing for the opposite side. Next, for her sleeves, we're going to take a piece of fabric that measures 2 inches by 3¼ inches, and we're going to take the pinking shears and we're going to trim down the 2-inch side. And that's going to be the side closest to her hand. Then I'm just going to take these and I'm going to fold them over, glue them together, right sides together, and then we'll turn them right side out here in a minute. And then I'm just going to take some pliers to turn these right side out. Now this is a stretchy material. If you don't get this exact same material, I got this actually at Joann's and I'll give you the link for it. But it is a stretchy material, so it's a little bit easier to turn the sleeves right side out. And then I'm just going to take a dowel stick to go through the center just to straighten it out. And then we're just going to slide it up over the top part of the arm and all the way down. And we're coming up probably about 1/2 inch from the hand. And then we're just going to go ahead and glue the back down. Just make sure that they're even. Next, I'm going to take my X-Acto knife and I'm just going to poke a hole on both sides to put the arms in. And you're going through several layers of fabric, so you might have to take some scissors to cut it open a little bit too. And then I'm going to take a dowel stick and run it through there to the opposite side so that I make sure that my arms are exactly the same, exactly in the same place. And you should be able to push that all the way through and through the other fabric as well.
Okay, then we're going to go ahead and glue the arms in. And I've straightened mine out first because you want to make sure that your thumbs are facing forward, and just push them all the way in there and then let this dry real well, and then you can bend the arms. Okay, next I'm just going to take a black Sharpie, a fine point Sharpie, and I'm just going to put a scar around her wrist on both sides. Just going to take a circle and draw some lines on it. And do the same thing with the opposite arm. We're also going to add some on her legs. Just come down the leg and kind of go around towards the front. And then just do the same thing. Just draw a line and then draw some little lines over the top of that. And we're going to do that for both legs. And then right at the top part of her chest, we're going to do the same thing. We're just going to do it right on top of that felt. Just draw a line straight down the middle and then just draw some lines across it. Okay, next we're just going to go ahead and pull her legs back out and we're going to glue them in. Now, I put a cork up into the center part of the insulation. I didn't show that in camera, but it does kind of stiffen up the legs a little bit. Same thing I did in the Jack Skellington one. So just take a regular cork and just stick it right up inside that hole right down the center of that insulation. It'll stiffen these up a little bit better. And just kind of make sure that they are standing up even. And then I took two little 2.5 inch little discs, little wooden discs, stacking them together to give it a little bit more body in it. And then I'm just going to glue her to this with some E6000 glue and some hot glue. And then I'm going to paint the base with just black chalk paint. Okay, I hope you like her. Let me know in the comments what you think. If you like these kind of videos, be sure and like, subscribe, and ring that bell to be notified when I have a new video upload. Thank y'all so much for watching. I really appreciate it.